allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We hear from Lena. I know Paul Anderson couldn't make it, but I haven't heard from Lena.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, for today I thought we'd spend some time going introductions. I see no general public here, so that's good because then we can spend a little more time on introductions here with Matt. I think we're pretty good on the single-use plastic ordinance, but we'll just talk over where we stand with that and then get into the deeper subjects of our 2025 task projects that we want to focus on. That we're going to go through a rooftop solar presentation, so hopefully when he gets here. And then just wrap up with social media posts and announcements for the project. Good. So I don't know. You want us to go first? We can.
Doesn't matter.
However you'd like it. Yeah, start. I mean, Andy Katronik, chair this year and last year of the EAB. So I've been on the EAB since August of 2019. So yeah, wrapping up actually at the end of this year, I'll term out. We used to have to take the 1 year off. I've been in the township 16 years or so. Undergraduate degree was aerospace engineering, but then back in 2015 I decided I wanted to change course. So I went to Villanova and got my master's in sustainable engineering and renewable and alternate energy. But then ended up doing product carbon life cycle, product carbon footprint, doing life cycle assessment of plastics and chemicals. So doing carbon footprint calculations now. Last 3 years, a little over 3 years now.
Bill Sabia retired from the EAB a year ago, and I think it's been a year, right? Started the EAB with Rick back in 2009. I think was when it kicked off, and then I was in for 2 6-year terms plus. So I've been in the township 25 years, moved in 2000, and I'm in IT. I do SharePoint and Office 365 for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I was in Unisys, which brought me into Bluebell, into Plymouth, because I work right here in Bluebell, so it's nice only being 12 minutes from work. Yeah. So that's me.
Hello, Frank McCreesh, 40-year, township president. Been involved with a lot of township activities. So on the planning board, chairman of the zoning board, building appeals board. Wanted to stay, so now I'm here. And I spent my career in the nuclear power industry. So that's about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Paul Krepto. I've been in the township since the early 90s, and this is my second meeting on the board.
Nice.
Ellen Miramontes, my second meeting, but first officially on the board. Came to the township meeting, I guess a little over a week ago, and signed my oath and all of that, and had that notarized. So I feel very official now. Happy to be here. I have a background in landscape architecture and urban planning, and I've been here in the township 8 years. Came here from California.
I'm Nick. And I'm just now only realizing I responded to your text in my brain and not actually on the phone. So I'm sorry. But yeah, no, that's why I'm here.
Nice.
I'm Andrew. I've been in Plymouth for about 22 years, I think. And I'm an urban forester and arborist, and really into ecosystem restoration and native plants and things like that. So I run a small nonprofit in the area that does a lot of planting. We work with Rick and the township, and as well with White Marsh and other local municipalities to do a little bit of ecosystem restoration and native tree planting and stuff like that. So
Cool.
nice to meet you.
Likewise. Rick Carbo, I am the township liaison for the board. I've been on the board like since inception back in 2008 or 2009. And I am in the Buildings and Grounds Department for the Plymouth Township.
I'm Matt West. I do not live in the township. My first EAB meeting, and I'm really excited to work with you all. You all have a pretty interesting and varied background, and in my experience in municipal management, so my undergraduate's in geography, graduate in planning, and so I'm always looking at that relationship between people and the land around us. And prior to being in Plymouth, I was in Narberth, and they have a very active EAC, and I really appreciate working with them. And we were the first to pass the plastic straws ban. I mean, we were on the cutting edge of things. Really well familiar with what the EAB EAC is about, and am really interested in being a part of you all and helping encourage you all to implement these things. My experience with EAB EACs are, I don't disagree with everything you talk about. My perspective is, how can we right size it and scale it right so we don't overwhelm ourselves, right? And my experience is that, hey, I know there was an email that came through, I had it. That was talking about a whole bunch of things like meadow restoration, no mowing. Yeah, yes, right? I think it came from you.
I think I started the trouble.
Yeah. Have experience in that. And what we did in previous municipalities is take one retention basin and use that as a teaching moment. Get the residents around that retention basin and say, hey, look, we're looking to naturalize this retention basin so we don't come in there and mow it. What does that look like? Why? What are the benefits of it? And if you get those residents to buy in who are right around it, you put a little education sign next to it.
And everything, yeah.
It's off. I think it's in year 5 now, and it's full bloom, and it's working how it's supposed to work. Use that as your stepping point, your springboard. Start small, and then start expanding it holistically across the entire township. So, looking forward to you all, and looking forward to seeing more about this solar panel project. I live in Lansdale, and we are unique in that we have our own electric company. And if you want to see how electric companies have harnessed solar power, it's remarkable. We have a pretty significant solar field in our wastewater treatment plant, and we have a solar array on top of our municipal building, and we generate, I believe we're up to 1 megawatt of energy now, free, right? What I also like about it is that they have invested in 6 different locations throughout the borough where they offer free electricity for EVs. As an EV owner, I love it. Just me to walk 6 blocks down to plug it in, and free electricity, free gas, right? So, anyway, I can talk about this stuff for quite a while. So, looking forward to hearing more. Looking forward to continuing to work with you all. And that's me.
Welcome.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I'm Lena Shevde. I am almost 1 year old on EAB now. So, yeah.
You've made it.
I made it.
Give a little more.
And my professional background, I am a water resources engineer.
All right.
And I did my PhD from Drexel University. And I design green infrastructures. So,
Pretty cool.
yeah. Well, like hydrologic modeling, all that stuff. So,
Nice.
yeah, right now I'm the one who is working with Bill. I mean, Bill had started and done a lot of work. I'm just working with him on the presentation, to be honest. But yeah, we will be presenting that
Very good.
in council. So.
Great.
Well, Public comments, I see no public, so I put it on the agenda, you guys wanted me to
It's
remind.
technically
I'm
public.
technically
Oh,
public.
sorry, Bill.
No comments if you allow me to hit certain times.
I don't know if I want to turn the floor over to Bill.
No.
Most involved in EAP.
I'll try not to take it. I'll try not to take over.
So single-use plastic ordinance, I think we've got a lot of notifications going out. I have seen, I think a bunch of us did see the paper put in the sewer bill. So that was great to see. My wife brought it down to me and she was opening the mail upstairs. She's like, oh, look at this. The township page did put an update out there at the top of the page. I know last month we talked about the GPCC sign is up. There was reminders put both on the township page and the EAB Facebook page. Also the 14th. And then learned from the township that they did send out letters to 300 plus businesses back on January 16th. And so far not receiving any feedback on that. I know on the Facebook there was some mixed comments as we've seen. And then as far as I know, I mean, we got our stuff in for the newsletter as far as I know. Everything's good.
Yeah, no, I think I sent an email around with a couple links to Facebook posts, but we posted pretty much the sewer flyer on our Facebook page, and it got shared out to, Talkin' Plymouth and a couple other Facebook pages with a couple thousand residents and stuff. And, certainly a lot of people who don't like it, obviously, so there was a little bit of discussion there, and there were some people that were in support, so similar to what we saw with our feedback. And then I thought it was interesting because Maple Acres Farm also re-uploaded that flyer and said, we're not, starting April 1st, we're not offering plastic bags anymore at the farm, and it was like overwhelmingly positive, so people support that. So I think it'll, people, and I think we've heard this from other municipalities, within a couple weeks, people get used to it. People start bringing their bags, and you never hear about it again. So hopefully that's the case, and I'm sure people will adjust pretty quickly.
And then just a reminder, we were discussing the dates at last meeting. So April 9th, implementation for every bag, straws, utensils. And then the signage requirement also starts on that same date. I thought it might have been earlier, but it starts on the 9th. Goes for the first 6 months. And then I guess the township has not received any request for exemption.
Not yet.
So yeah, they could ask for exemption for 1 year from the effective date, which really would only be the 6-month extension.
On the township page news item, I just thought it wouldn't hurt to include links to the sewer bill insert and the business letter, because what if there was a retail business that didn't get caught in the mailing? But if we have the PDF of it linked to the news item, then at least we can point to that and say, hey, sorry we missed you, but here's the details we meant to send you. And also to citizens, it would help citizens who happen to observe businesses not complying, they could, point businesses to it.
You're thinking like something on the top of the page?
Well, actually, I was thinking, the current item was updated on 2/14, so just to include in that content of that news item, just add the 2 links to the 2 documents.
Andrew, you.
Yeah, I'll let Brandon know.
I mean, just for transparency, do you guys think that's a good idea?
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of notifications have been sent out, and I think I don't know, I mean, obviously we know about it, but I think everyone should have a good chance to hear about it by now. All right, so project discussion. You guys asked for a timer. I'm gonna get my timer out here. So, I don't want to go too long with things. I set aside a half hour. Anyway, I thought we'd go around and we have 3 minutes each. I was thinking the board, EAB board members talking, I don't know, I guess maybe at the end we can see how we're doing on time and open it up maybe to others. But and what I did here is I took a lot of the ideas that we talked about last year. There's, Paul's email, there's some other discussion at the last meeting. So I put a bunch of ideas up here. I started to kind of group them a little bit with the idea that maybe just under whatever interaction. I'm sorry, does everyone know that we did apply for the shared energy manager and that we were awarded? I know I sent out the email, but okay, I see a bunch of shaking heads. Okay. All right, so coordination with the energy manager, and I just put the EV, energy transition plan, kind of under that. Because I figure whatever we're doing there, we'll be coordinating with them. Maybe all those things end up getting worked, especially since we have the energy manager in there. Maybe only some of them, but I just said that's a grouping. There's the open space and meadows. I thought we kind of grouped that, and which ones exactly you choose to focus on, that can be decided later. So I thought we could kind of say that as a group. We can decide what to do. Wasn't sure how to group some of the rest of them, so I just kind of left them alone. But anyway, A through I is more how I saw kind of us voting on, with the other ideas kind of being subcategories that we can decide at a later point to focus or so we can come back to that. Anyway, this is the chart, of course, that you've seen a few times. This is feedback from the November meeting, from people that participated in that. I think everything on here on the graph is represented in the entire list, except for the things that have already been achieved. Like apply for a shared energy manager, which was the first thing. I thought it was in the fall. It ended up being in January, so it worked out. But anyway, good, check. You can see the other items there, and then this is the SWOT analysis again, just showing it quickly. So I'm going to put a 3-minute timer on myself. Any quick questions before we go around? All right, so my thoughts, timer started. I think the energy manager coordination, I think we're obligated to participate, I believe, and happy to do so. I think that one's kind of in as a priority for the year. We've been talking a lot about open space and meadows. It's not, I guess, what tugs at my, energy and so much, but I mean, I've seen a lot of it in the room, and I know a lot that aligns with you guys a lot in the room. So, I think there's a bunch of great ideas under there. I'm trying to think. Composting. Community composting maybe could be put under C as well. F be put under C. I didn't think of that one. That's something that I do at home. I would be interested in trying to see expand that. In fact, I won't put the numbers up here, but 3 or so years ago, as a post on our Facebook page, I tracked my waste and compost and stuff for a few weeks, and I found that 15% of my waste by weight, 15% was compost. So we could save 15%, and I actually multiplied out by the number of households and everything. I came up with a dollar value of $39,000 saved annually by going to compost instead of by going to waste. I don't know. I can send that out again.
You personally or the township?
Not me personally. That was a township.
That'd be pretty good.
But anyway, so I mean that's something that it interests me. Anyway, I have a minute left, but I'll go ahead and cede my time and say I've said enough, so.
Well, I was going to say that could also tie into what I was saying about leaving the leaves too, because I mean, yeah, if people are going to complain about, well, what am I going to do with all these leaves? That's a perfect thing that they can do. Is if we can educate them about composting, then they could use the leaves for that, as part of that project and everything. So I'm not sure how we're. I put that out there. It was something that bothered me. It bothers me every year when I see the trucks going around. Because, like at the beginning of the season, I know it is very tough to predict when the leaves are going to fall. I understand that's the biggest thing, and the calendar goes out. I'm sure you guys have to figure it out ahead of time. Well, when can we schedule this, and manpower, and trucks, and gas, and everything? And I'm sure it's very tough. But it seems like every year at the beginning of the season, the truck just drives around looking for something to do. At least that's my opinion. That's the way it just seems to drive around the valley. I hear it because it's noisy as hell, and it's coming around just looking for leaves to pick up. And there's usually not much at the beginning. I don't know if you guys see this, but
Yeah, they don't put the full crew out early. I mean, it's different every year. And on the back end, they have to make sure they have them all up because those trucks also are outfitted with the snow removal equipment.
yeah. So they have to
So,
be.
yeah, so it's-
So I don't know if it's
Can I cut in?
sure, absolutely.
3 minutes later, I mean, I hear.
Go ahead. I took one of
Leave it
yours.
running,
Go ahead. Take 30 seconds
I
back.
ceded my 1 minute, so you were good. But, anyway, Frankie, you want to?
Yeah, a lot of good stuff up there. I like to be interested in the biking development and Schuylkill Riverfront preservation. I think it has the most impact directly on individual township residents. And I'm always like, what can we do for the residents? So I like those two, be interested in that. I will yield my extra time to the gentleman on my left.
No. It's fine. Well, I'll tell you this. I suggested the Schuylkill. I'll take everybody's extra minutes if you'll give them to me. I talk forever. The Schuylkill Riverfront preservation. It scares me because you see what's happening in Conshohocken, and now I hope you see what's happening in Conshohocken, and it's starting in White Marsh now. Now Spring Mill is starting to turn into that, and White Marsh, which I always thought would be a little more environmentally minded, which also has a more of a open riverfront to develop and everything. I just don't want to see it happening in Plymouth. I just don't want to see it starting to shift the other direction. We got a lot of industry, a lot of factories there. It'll be very hard to put apartment buildings in there. That's why I thought, well, you know what, before it happens where some company goes under and then some developer says, I'm going to buy that land and let's put apartments in there. I don't know if there's a way we can get a jump on that. The Schuylkill River Trail goes through there. I ride it. You don't get very many good views of the river. I kind of wish there was a little bit more access to it's tough. The railroad tracks are there. It's very tough in our part of the Schuylkill River Trail. But just something to think about ahead of time. Something, just get a proactive jump on that before developers start, picking away at the property there and all that. Just the way I feel. I just feel like, instead of it happening and all of a sudden we're like scrambling to stop, Pulver or whoever, not even who's down there anymore in Conshohocken from moving up our side of the river there. That's why I threw that out there. I was a little worried about what was maybe coming in the next 10, 15 years.
Anything else? Yeah, I already started your timer, so.
So the walk and bike path development, I'll tell you, I go up Wentz Road there, and Whitpain has a new bike trail there under the right under the electric lines there, and I talked to one of you guys a long time ago. I had heard talk about them putting the trails along the lines there on Sandy Hill there and everything, and then the next thing, because that would be right behind my house. I thought that would be great. There'd be a trail right there, and then nothing happened. Then I heard that Pico was getting a little iffy about liability and blah blah blah, and maybe property rights too. I don't know what the deal was, but then Whitpain is getting away with it. How come Whitpain's doing that, and we can't do that here? So yeah, the bike path thing would be definitely. I'll just jump around here real fast. Again, this is for next year, but the 250th anniversary is next year, you know, and the semi-sesquicentennial, whatever they're calling it now. And I mean, we're EAB, and maybe it's more township property and parks maybe can do more with it or something. I just start thinking about things we could do this year so that the township is beautified for next year. You know, you got to kind of put the plants in now so they're ready for next year and everything. Just something to think about ahead of time. Maybe some extra flagpoles somewhere along. That's not really us, but I don't know. Just something to do. I'm sorry, jumping around here. The township property. Yeah, I tell you, I see the guys cutting the grass out here every week. You know, I mean, that's a huge lawn out front here that goes down to the creek. It's great. I mean, it's nice to have open space like that, but it's like it's not. Nobody's using it. Like it's not like usable. I don't see people having picnics there, or you know, nobody has a Plymouth Township Day there or anything. Maybe just the lawn area that we have in the township. Maybe it's what you were saying earlier. Maybe pick an example. You know, maybe make an example of a property somewhere and see, hey, this is what we can do with this, and then hopefully it would explode from there and everything. I mean, it would just the lawnmowers go back and forth all the time, and it just to me it sounds like that could be used somewhere else, better used somewhere else, and.
Which parks are used for their lawn and which parks are used more for their
Kind of. I
natural
mean,
appeal?
you can see. You know, obviously the community center. Everybody's makes a lot of use of that, which is great. Plymouth Alley Park. You know, obviously ball fields and stuff, but you got to mow on the Pico sides of some of those fields and stuff. And I don't know what the liability issues are, and you know whether people actually sit up on the banks there and stuff like that. I just.
So we have started a program, and Andrew can talk about it a little bit also, but we do have some no-mow areas, and we've added, I guess substantial amounts considering what we had before that.
Okay, great.
Bicentennial Park on the other side, on the New Hope side, Harriet Weatherall Park has quite a few acres of no-mow, and we're going to add a few more along the creek bed. So we do have some areas, and
So then maybe that's not a priority for 2025. That it's already being worked on.
You're good?
Okay.
Okay. Gosh, a lot of things interest me on this list. C, open space and meadows, that's probably more at my alley in terms of what I have to offer. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess it would be B. But
Sorry, just go with C. I think I cut and paste and.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I would be happy to help with all of those things. I think you were probably meant White Marsh and East Norton. They have the tree ordinance examples that we could look to. That seems like that could be something that would be fairly simple, and I could definitely help with that, like gathering some examples. So I could help with that. Open space funding. So I work in open space and trails at the county, so I know a lot about that. That was really interesting to hear that perhaps there could be some allocation of taxes going towards open space, that current taxes could go towards open space maintenance and acquisition, so that was kind of neat. I love the idea of an example project, and Matt, I've always thought of that in front of the community center, that great big basin there. What couldn't be a more perfect front door example? It would be beautiful to have that turn into a natural area. It's such a showcase there, so visible. So I've always dreamed of that being a good example. The EAB ordinance, I'm not exactly sure what that is referring to, but I think there was some discussion of involving students. And as a past Girl Scout leader myself, leading my two girls' troops, they're always looking for projects. And so it would be so wonderful to create alliances and with scout troops and things like that. The walk and bike path development is, I totally believe in that. I was looking at actually the comp plan this evening before I came, and that's another thing that I think we should really lean on is the 2019 comp plan to use kind of as marching orders, because I was noticing in here that there was reference to the EAB being partners, so I thought that was really huge. Schuylkill Riverfront Preservation, so I do know about the development there, and it's very upsetting to me and feels very unethical to put people in harm's way in flood zones. And I made comments about that when I first came to the County Planning Commission and said, gosh, if you approve housing there along the river, you'll be rescuing them off the rooftops like a Katrina, you know, and then sure enough, that happened. So, but I noticed in the comp plan that there's rezoning, and also you should look at the comp plan. It's industrial now, but it's proposed. So I'll stop there.
I'm sorry, it's proposed.
To rezone it. Right now it's
Like
industrial down there, the zoning.
Yeah, okay.
But it's proposed that it be zoned, a variety of zoning, but some
Okay.
mixed use things and stuff like that. It hasn't happened
No,
yet.
no, but that's what I'm worried about, yeah.
It-
Would that be through the county or through us?
That's local.
That's local, so that's
yeah,
just us.
we have no say in that. Yeah, the county. So, yeah. Anyways, I have lots of ideas, and actually one thing I just want to add, because I think someone said, "Oh, the county's working on the trails. We don't have to worry about trails." Well, we're working on the big network. But it's those fine little connections, and I was looking at the comp plan to see what was recommended in 2019, that really make that all the more stronger and accessible. And you can work with PICO now with licenses, and Whitpain got money from the county for their trail, their Monco 2040. So anyways, I'll stop. I'm interested in all of it. I mean, I'm willing to assist with all this.
I was quick interject. I think I was the one who was boo-hooing, but wondering what our role was with the bike and walking trails. But my eyes have been open. We're just talking about those connector trails and everything. I like that idea a lot. But,
I think I would rate them. I think A, C, and then E. I feel like I could contribute more probably to C, but it looks like we've made some good recent progress with A. So I think that's obviously something we should pursue this year. So I'd be happy to try and get a tree ordinance going or an open space ordinance. I know we've kind of talked about that a little bit over the last year and explored some options with that. With the mowing and stuff on public land, my nonprofit recently got a state grant, $53,000 about, to do 10 acres of riparian restoration, and a lot of that is taking place within the township, including at Bicentennial on the other side of the park, so not the side with the not this side of the river, but the other of the stream, but the other side. Most of that field will go back into a naturalized woodland eventually. We're going to plant a lot of trees and shrubs, and we'll just have a walking path through.
There.
But that whole side is going to be, so that's going to be a lot less mowing, which is great. And the township has been great. We've worked to create little zones kind of in the last couple years, but this grant really will allow us to do a lot more. I think we're doing about maybe a little over an acre at Harriet Weatherall. It's going to be less mowing and stuff, so the stream there. So building up the riparian buffer is there, and maybe some other sites, but those are the two major ones in Plymouth. I think I'd be curious to talk a little bit more about leaving the leaves, see what other folks think. I'd be worried that folks would simply just bag them in plastic and then put it out with their regular garbage, because I've seen that in other municipalities that don't offer the leaf pickup. That would be my concern with. I try to leave as many as I can at my house, but where the compost is definitely good, and in like the meadows and under trees and stuff like that, they're great. Obviously, we all know the benefits, but I'd be worried folks, would have landscapers bag them up or take them. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm also excited about the walking and biking path development and seeing what we can do as well with that.
I'm most interested, like, if I want to rank them, I'm interested in all of them, but if I have to rank them, my first will be the community and, like, environmental education, community outreach programs. We attempted a little bit last year towards the end, but I think that was just like, testing the grounds, I will say, like how much and how far we can go. But I think we can really, like, plan better this year, and really we can expand our outreach. Last year, like this November, we invited the local troop. Like, I'm also a leader on the Boy Scouts troop. So yeah, we had few scouts over, and Andrew invited some of his neighbors. So yeah, some of us got our spouses. So yeah, we had like maybe around 15, Andy? 15 visitors? Probably, like at least 10. Yeah. We had our kids. Yeah. My daughter, his son was there, and I think it was so, like, they showed interest, expressed interest in the associate membership. Nice. So yeah, I think that's something I feel like I can contribute, and also, like, that's, if we want to target everything from that list, I think we have to, like, get consensus from people, and the education is, like, one of the most important factor there. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I don't want to put anyone else on the spot necessarily, but I don't know, I'll look at the township. Nick, or...
I mean, obviously, I think A is something that is getting done, regardless. We have the shared energy manager, so I think that's just, probably say, prioritizing the solar for the electric vehicle charging stations, because I feel like you want to have the solar infrastructure before you start working on the charging stations. Not sure how long all of those would take, but I would guess we probably want to start with that. Open space, definitely interested in the funding, definitely interested in the tree ordinance. Leave the Leaves, I think, as good as like an educational initiative, maybe this year, and then looking to see to like do it officially next year. Because I think it's like touchy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. Yes.
And in the same sense, like, you
Yes.
run the risk of them just bagging them all up in plastic,
Trash.
and they're going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
trash
It'll go
anyway.
all the way, yes.
So I think if there's more education first and getting people to
Okay.
actually volunteer to do it, we might see like, hey, like, does Rick collect a lot less than he has been? Do we try to push it even further beyond just regular education?
Okay.
And nobody really mentioned the garden tours contest, but I really like that idea. Like we do our lights contest in the fall. I think that'd be like a great thing to plan through, like, maybe like May and lead up to like Township Day, and we can announce the winner at Township Day or something. I think could be an excellent way to lead in, get people interested, and if we're announcing it at Township Day, it also gives people a reason to come by our booth and to come by and talk about other initiatives we might be working on while we have everybody's attention, because they want to know who won the contest. I think can pair very nicely in helping us accomplish other stuff while also doing like a nice thing to help beautify the township at the same time. And then generally, I think everybody else kind of hit the rest on the head for me. I don't have anything else to add on the other ones.
Thank you. Matt, could I put you on?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like I said earlier, there's nothing that I haven't heard that I don't disagree with. In my mind, the way it works is that, there's the small, more nimble projects that take very little staff time, the things that are neat community building exercises that township can be a support of. But then when we start talking about major outlays, infrastructure type things, local government runs slowly by design. And so it's important for me to know what these priorities are so we can start the conversation in budget making time, so we can start identifying these projects and allocating funds for the years next. And so, I think this list, it's got both of those things. And so it would be really helpful if this group could identify and prioritize those things and maybe look through the lens of what are those smaller, nimble things that take very little resources, probably more of your volunteer time. Those are the things that we can get done really quickly. Township can support those pretty easily. Which one of these things then are more capital outlays? What's going to cost money? Those things that cost money, grants are like coupons. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over. Grants are great if you have a project to use them for. I do not subscribe to the idea that, let's just get grants, and grants will then define what projects we'll work on. I don't like to do that. I like to manage projects with you all identify what is your priority, what do you want to do? Then when we have that, then we can go after those very specific grants to get it done. So I encourage you all to help me prioritize and help me in budget season. So mid-year, it would be really good, really helpful for me if this group could kind of reorganize these things and then provide to me what your recommendation is for those capital outlays that I can then integrate into the 2026 budget and beyond. Right? So that's my sense. That's how I always look at these types of things. Always looking for really good input and guidance from volunteer boards, because you are all the ones who represent the community.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I mean, how do we compare or sort them and then rank them?
And what it does then, the benefit is that you all feel as though you are contributing meaningfully. I want to make sure that you all feel like you are donating your time right tonight on a Tuesday night, that you're being heard, and that your ideas actually can come to fruition. It's not just hot air that goes into the ether. And so my life's work is to try to get volunteer boards to be a little more focused, to be a little more guided, to then plug into the system. The system is through Rick and I and through the budget making season, because that's how you get money, right? And it goes beyond this board too, right?
As a good lead, I mean, these are all great ideas, and I'm sure there's a dozen more great ideas that we could talk about. But in my experience, I mean, we get too spread out, and so what I've really tried to do is attempt to focus us as much as we can. So that's why I say let's go around. Now we'll do a vote, and I want you to say whether you want to give that one 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. 3 being your top priority, what you think is most important. And some of them, you can only vote on 3.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yep. Well, I was going to say this. So for Leave the Leaves, we'll do education first before we start forcing anybody to do anything. How about if I take that out of the list? I'll come up with like a couple paragraphs or something like that. Maybe we can, if the board looks at it, maybe that's something we can stick in a township newsletter.
So,
or is that okay?
so my intention is
Go
I'm
ahead.
asking you A, C, B. That's how the alphabet goes.
Oh, you want to go that way? Okay.
Open space, meadows, I
Okay.
grouped those all together was my idea. But so when we get to that, I think I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of votes for that. So then as that group, as we start to talk about that priority, then we can start to say open space funding. We can start to say those subcategories that we really want to then focus in on.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. I thought I would yank something off the board, but that's okay. That's fine.
Do
That
we
makes
also
sense.
want to just identify real quick of the A through I's, which ones, like Matt said, are more long-term, we're gonna have to be planning them for budget season, and which ones are maybe a little bit more short-term that we can accomplish without too much resources from the township.
Well, I mean, I would say that you could look at A through I and you could bite off a long-term or short-term aspect to that. Like a little example, walk, bike path. Short-term could be, okay, guys, look at this map, pick your top 2 connectors. That would be what we do. And then it would be like, okay, go for some grants. You know, like there's different levels to each of these, I feel like. There could be a short term and a long term.
I agree. I mean,
So when we say the 1, 2, 3, do you want us to give the 3 number to the one we like the best?
yes.
2 to the second,
It's
the
the most
opposite?
injuries, yes. You get the most points. I'll try to keep score, anyone else can, of course, but, are we good? We ready to vote? Are we sure? Okay. All right, so, A, shared energy manager coordination.
That's already
I thought
done.
that's
I mean,
already done, right?
We have the energy manager, right?
Yes,
So then it's happening.
Yeah.
well,
It's
it's the question, I mean, so are we by default just saying that is one of our tasks that we have to do this year? It doesn't matter.
Were we awarded-
Almost like single-use plastic.
we rewarded the shared energy manager.
Yes.
So then yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Or we're just gonna not use the shared energy manager.
I hate
Are
to,
the things under there
To support.
already? Yeah, what are so the 3?
Like, are you asking, like, are we gonna do something different than the 3 under there? Or are we voting?
I'm being devil's advocate and saying, Township, you got the shared energy manager, EAB, we're gonna be focusing on
Oh,
a
no, there's something else. Okay.
But we could.
I don't like that answer at all, but I'm just,
I think it's safe to say A is happening
It is, and I
Yeah.
think it could take 2 years
before the person comes.
before the analysis is completed.
Okay.
'Cause it's, I would budget 2 years, and then those things under it will then be a result of their findings. So that is actually, it is happening, but it does have long-term implications because it could then segue into what do you want to do with this information?
So are those 3 bullets something that the manager is going to have on their agenda to look at? I mean, it seems obvious, but I mean, or should we let the energy manager know?
I think those 3 things are pretty connected to the results of A.
Okay.
And that this board will then find the, will present the findings from the energy manager. Then at that point, this board can decide, what do you want to do next? Do we want to create an energy transition plan based upon this information? If yes, does that then include township solar PV, township EV charging stations? They're all kind of interconnected.
Let me ask.
I mean, I don't know, I had a misunderstanding maybe of what the shared energy manager was. I thought we started to talk to them and they worked on projects with us, not that they were doing some study for us and coming and presenting.
Oh, that was, yeah, their benchmark is, they look at all of our energy, they do that audit, they do everything, and that's their starting point. They look at they benchmark the township's energy usage.
I mean, we have a lot of that gathered.
It will be helpful, yeah.
If we start with, I mean, that's the baseline for
Yes.
us.
Well, the only comment I'd make on voting for these would be that if you vote for A, we can make sure that there are EAB members that make sure that gets done, because I don't think the energy transition plan is going to get created by the shared energy manager. It's already been drafted by the EAB, but the EAB needs to present it to council. So there's time required for each of those 3 from EAB members. So that's why you're voting on it, I think, to make sure that you guys allocate time to it during your next series of meetings.
I agree, sorry, I cut you off.
No, my question was answered.
All right, so if we'll get, I mean, it's in, we'll just say it's in. I mean, all right. we agree on, no voting, but just had.
Well, my question to his point, I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's name here.
Yeah.
Are we going to know those three, are we going to be able to work on those three bullet points without having the audit done first? I mean, is the audit going to come and say, oh, is that,
I think it'll just be general coordination with the shared energy manager. We've collected a lot of energy data and done a lot of reporting over the years, so I think we would want to coordinate and present that and share what we had. And
I see this
feedback
board
from
being
them.
involved in that process as well. So Rick, the first step that we need to do is Rick and I need to get our heads together and review an introductory survey that they've forwarded to us. Submit that then to the shared energy manager, then they review it, and then they'll make contact with us to go over what are we going to do for the township. These things can include them on their website: energy benchmarking, Energy Star certification, facility verification, audits and energy conservation measure, renewable energy feasibility evaluation, including solar, photovoltaic, and renewable thermal technologies, fleet electrification analysis, energy management plan creation, and ECM specification and implementation assistance. So it can be all of those things, but it can't be any of those things without first benchmarking, looking at what our total universe is. From that, it will then get into these other things where I see this board then having some feedback, the feedback loop. Once we get down that path, we'll say, okay, look, this is what we've done. We've benchmarked. We're at this stage now. What do you all want to do? Come back to this board. We talk about the solar PVs and the township EV charging stations as part of that. And other things.
so I guess what I'm saying is this is 2025 project discussions. You said earlier that this audit might be 2 years
Could be.
in the thing. So I guess that's where is this something we want to put on the 2025? Is it something you want to keep on the back burner for 2025? Look at it at the end. I don't. It's your baby. I'm new here, so I'm just trying to understand.
Well,
I can't believe we would spend no time working stuff with the energy manager somewhere in this year. I mean, they need to get grounded, but.
So, I mean, my question or my, so do we want to wait on our, like, these three topics? Because I know, Andy, you have been working on the energy transition plan with Bill since 2019. And just because, I mean, we got the energy manager, because of that, I don't think we want to prolong the discussions that we wanted to have with the council on the other stuff, right? So, I mean, I know the energy audit is very important because that gives us the baseline and, like, what we are trying to achieve and then set the goals for it. But do we want to do it parallelly with the auditing process? That's why, like.
Well, I think you could let the shared energy manager know you have a draft energy transition plan that's already written.
Yeah.
And we have a proposal for a solar PV, which we're going to discuss tonight. So once you give them the two documents, along with them doing an audit, you can say our priority is to get the energy transition plan done and the solar PV study done. So those would be 1 and 2, and they could be done this year. So the shared manager could give township that allocation of time to finish those two for the township. And if we get lucky, they could get the EV charging station applications in by the end of the year.
Why don't maybe have one person, maybe the chair since you've worked so much, as the person representing the board and coordinating with the shared energy manager?
I mean, so we really just established we can vote for A.
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing, right? Yeah. I mean, we're not going to solve it here, but.
No, I don't want to.
Guys, I'm sorry, I have to leave, so if anybody has any questions, I don't mean, I have to go pick my son up and.
I hate when we bore you so much.
We'll drive you away. It's not pouring over, but I have a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions for me or, sorry to interrupt you, but I just.
Is there anything you're planning on sharing at the end?
Not really. There's no, I mean, we have a rebid of the electrical contract for the pump room that's due next week. That's really the only project we got. pending right now. That's the natatorium renovation at the community center.
Yeah, unfortunately, I also have 8 o'clock hard stop. Yeah, my husband he's not in town, so I'll have to go.
See you guys, sorry.
But with,
You should
yeah,
vote first
Yeah,
then. You vote first and then you can get out of here.
Three is good. I don't know, I mean, you want to give me your 3 really quick?
3 minutes? Yeah,
No, it's
you
3.
want to give me 3 minutes
Your-
or
your
you
3
want
votes.
3 minutes?
Your 3
Oh,
votes.
my 3 votes.
I guess that's one way you can just do it.
Yeah. So, I don't know about the, how and what exactly, and because we already have a manager. It's just about, we want to set that up. So, I'll still say 3 for A, and then 2 community. Yeah. And then
Community
1
environmental
for-
education series, like
Yeah.
B?
Yeah.
Ah.
And 1 for open space.
There's another problem with you leaving though.
Yeah, I have shared the slides with everybody, but it just, I won't be able to present it right now. Can we set up like a 30-minute window? Like I can send a Zoom call, whoever is available, I know, I'm sorry.
So, she's gonna go through the
Yeah.
charts tonight,
Yeah, so I
for
was
the workshop.
hoping to see.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think it would probably be best, if we shoot for the April work session meeting. We've got some things coming up in March that are just gonna be too distracting for everybody, and I wanna make sure that this gets, Nick, jump in. I think April would be a better time frame for us, with the council, with what we've got coming up in March. There's some things that are gonna take a bunch of time. And this is gonna be, I want to make sure that this gets the attention that it deserves.
Right.
So the
Okay,
work
so
session,
that-
workshop meeting in April, so that will give us some time. I'd like to see it beforehand also. If you can't, unfortunately, if you can't present it tonight.
Let me check. I don't think I have his email address though. so-
Well, we'll come forward out, but I mean, so.
I like
but you
the
think
Zoom.
We'll plan on doing it.
I like the Zoom presentation. If you want to schedule that, if you want to give me a crash course presentation on it, that would be great.
It'd be good to go over it with the EAB, so what about the
yeah.
next EAB meeting?
Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll start with that.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
have, we should have.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that should work. Like if, anyways, with the council, if April is a better timeline, then yeah, we still have.
Great.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
All right.
I
Sorry.
think I might like this way a little easier anyway. I don't know, you want to just go one by one and say what your top 3 are, so 3, 2, 1. For A. You said 2 for A.
Yeah, 2 for A, 3 for C, and 1 for
1 for B.
E. Sorry,
E.
the wall.
So I'll do 3 for C, and I'll do 2 for E, and 1 for B.
People are ordering fast food or something.
Supersize it.
I would say 3 for A, we might as well prioritize that.
3 for A, okay.
Assuming that's a given.
2 for C, and then 1 for E.
Well, I mean, I was thinking that thank you. I was still thinking that we're cutting off at 3, so if there are other things, I mean, we can revisit throughout the year, but focus on the top 3.
I'm very supportive of A, even though I didn't vote for it. So.
Want to get some points elsewhere, okay.
I'd go 3 for E.
3 3 for E.
2 for G, and 1B.
And then I had, 3 for A, and 2 for B. And then 1 for F. That's not going anywhere. Unless you put it under open space and meadows, but so unfortunately, I asked Paul for Paul Anderson for his inputs, but so A, then I got at 11, B 6, C 9, 0 for D, 7 for E, 1 for F, 2 for G, and 0. So we got A, C, and E, the close third being B. Does that sound right to everyone?
You said A, C, and E are the top three?
A, C, and E. E is in everybody.
I think that's manageable.
Can I give
And then if you identify actionable things and long-term things inside of those 3, I think it becomes really manageable.
Can I give 2 quick comments? Just reading through some of the smaller stuff underneath. B's small thing, lines into native meadows, education tutorials. I feel pairs very well with C's township property meadows. The way Matt described earlier, picking an area within the township to use as the example, to use as the educational tool, to use as a way to start that process. I think you can accomplish both.
And then
by merging them
promote the hell out of it.
Yeah.
You don't take credit for it and continue to expand it.
Don't just do good things, talk about doing good things.
Yes.
But can kind of combine those 2 together, in the sense we might not be prioritizing education specifically, but making sure we tie that little bit into something we do into C. That community outreach should actually probably just be a part of all the things we do. And always making sure that we say, here's what we're doing, this is what we've accomplished, this is what X, Y, and Z. And then just as another short aside, D didn't get many votes, but everybody always seemed we all had decent comments on it. That's just a quick, what do you want from your board? So that's you tell council what you want, we change the ordinance. That's a quick, that's a quick, easy fix. You can talk about that at the next meeting, decide on what you want, and next council meeting getting done.
Quick meeting months.
Quick meeting months.
If it's ordinance, there's a process,
I don't know how much pushback you'll get on the EAB updating our own ordinance. You're not going to have community showing up.
Yeah, exactly. It's not it's a new tree ordinance or a plastic bag ordinance. It's how do you want to run this board?
Yeah.
So that's something, or even y'all could communicate over emails what you would want to see on the board and the changes you would want, and then just communicate that to council. In terms of getting that ordinance process started, it's as soon as y'all decide what you want. And then it's just waiting, I think, 2 months for 2 council meetings to advertise the ordinance, and then it's good to go.
Yep.
So in truth, you could probably have that done by May, if you worked super quick.
Okay.
Just as 2 things.
Yeah, well, those are great. I agree, making community education on the other topics that we pulled out. That's a great idea. And happy to do the ordinance update. We voted on our things now and gave that 0 points. But yeah, I don't mind spending some time talking about it. As long as if it is something we can write you and basically give you bullets and say, here's what we want, and then,
Make your case.
I don't think it's going to be too controversial, the updates or anything.
It's something that you can always leave at the end of the agenda, and if by chance we ever get through really quick.
I mean, are there dysfunctional things with the ordinance that you're?
Well, like it says on here, allowing associate members isn't listed in there, and we wanted to kind of formally add that in there, so I think especially like the youth aspect of it, and then being able to state it, that was important to them. At first, I was like, well, anybody can show up, but.
To incorporate like position, I think non-voting positions
Okay.
to include like maybe students or something that want to take a more active role in
Easy.
volunteering. Yeah, that's where that started.
Yes.
Okay.
And membership requirements was kind of an activity level, must come to 9 out of 12 meetings or something.
Or you get publicly humiliated?
Yeah, you have to wear the dunce cap around town. Yeah.
Nice.
Just kind of, I was thinking maybe you guys could kind of illuminate us newbies on how now we've picked our top 3 things, and how have you done this in the past? Like, are there point people? Like Paul's really interested in the Leave the Leaves, so like you could kind of come
That is
up with-
exactly what we did last year. We
Okay.
put a person in charge. We assigned members to each of the tasks we were working, and then, so they were the point. And then we just had a not so short, but sometimes short, section in each meeting where we tried to go through status on each.
Updates.
But a lot of energy last year was focused on single-use plastics. That ended up taking up a lot of time. But I mean, that was kind
Worthwhile
of how
energy.
we-
Worthwhile energy. We got it done.
It did. But anyway, that was how we did it last year, and would be good to do again. So yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about, one of the things I did last year, obviously, I was at the voting right here, like Andrew and Ellen, you were top on C, so I don't know if you kind of want to co-chair or planning to have that as maybe your focus for the year.
On C?
C.
Sure. I could, it seems like there's things inside of that, like, that people have interest in. I guess I just don't understand, like, how you've done it in the past.
Yeah, I think we would have to pick one to really focus on, or like we were saying, to pick the, ones, like, probably I would think the tree ordinance may be pretty manageable or doable.
For the year.
Yeah, I guess more so than the open space funding, because that.
Let's try to save the specifics that you choose for a later meeting.
Okay. Yeah, but I think we would have to.
Why don't we
focus
figure
on-
out?
Prioritize within the.
Let's figure out who wants to work on each of the 3, and then you all can coordinate. And our goal for the next meeting will be to coordinate with each other. So your presentation at the next meeting could be what you think should be prioritized under that list,
I see.
and that's what
Okay.
the goal for March could be.
Yeah, I'm happy to work on C.
Working with you,
Okay, yeah, I would,
obviously.
yeah, Rebecca.
I mean, I'll work A, has been my focus.
Your forte.
Yeah,
Lena too, right?
she did put that one as number 1, but I don't know. She seemed very interested in B, but we're not focusing on that, so it's hard to say.
In that same sense, we should be incorporating B into all 3. So
Yes.
in the same sense, working with A, she can.
I don't know, Frank, you, E?
I'll be glad to take the lead on E.
Great. And were you at C?
Not the nonprofit on
Yeah.
restoring natural foliage. I think that smacks right with the EAB ordinance updates.
Yeah.
Exactly the matchup.
I mean, I'm interested in all of them, but yeah, I know we wish we could tackle all of these, but.
What's the bullet open space funding? Where were your heads at with that? Is that talking about considering a referendum to add
EIT.
additional real estate millage dedicated to open space procurement maintenance?
Yeah, we had been exploring, we had a couple speakers from townships that have a dedicated open space fund. White Marsh.
I've worked in one.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did a little bit of looking into it. I guess we heard from speakers. We discussed it here, and I think we even approached council last year at some point. And at that time, they were not interested because they didn't want to raise taxes for that year. But definitely something we could push forward again in the
I
future.
think it has to be instituted by referendum also. It's not just a simple council adds the tax. I believe it has to be passed through a public referendum in order to give the power to council to do it. That's my understanding, which is a bigger lift.
Ellen would be a great lead on that project.
It's a big one. I mean, Lower Frederick Natural Lands assisted them in that effort. It was a huge effort. You heard from Marla Hexter all about that. And that's not going to even happen in 1 year.
Yeah.
It's going to start with education, maybe open forums, maybe, I don't know, everything that they did. They went door to door and developed a lot of materials about it. And it's a big project.
And excuse my ignorance, since this is starting my third week in the hot seat. I have not found one or seen one. Do we have an open space plan here?
Yes, you do. Because I was just looking at the 2019 comp plan, and it referred to a 2019 open space plan as well. I didn't actually look at that.
Because that's
I know about that.
I did not get to open it, sorry. I have not read it.
Okay.
that would be the foundation for the referendum. Like that's the building block that you use. Hey, look, we have an open space plan. Here's where we want to go, and here's the properties that we would like to start securing. That's then your foundation for explaining and promoting referendum.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, I could definitely help with that, but I know you're kind of interested in heading that up. I think you'd be a great spokesperson for this. Just seeing how you handled that riparian planting in my neighborhood, I thought you did a really nice job with that. So I could definitely support.
Yeah, okay.
And all the materials we collected are in the Google Drive, all the presentation decks, so we documented all of the details we got from those other townships on open space, so that'd be a helpful catch-up so that any of you could share that with Matt or just to give him a background.
Yeah, and I could be a connector. I mean, like DVRPC, they have on their website, if you've ever looked on their website, they have in their region, all the communities they have documented in there that have EITs for open space dedicated funding and natural lands, but they're going to want to be paid. The county will be starting a formal open space grant program this year, so that's something that could be touted, that the local municipal funding can be leveraged off of that county funding, so that could kind of go along.
Oh, you were talking about EIT open space?
Earned income tax, yeah.
I was thinking real estate taxes. That's my experience.
Okay, I guess there's different.
I always thought, what about sales tax? Like, I don't know if that's,
There's probably different ways of doing
I
it.
know some township I was looking at somewhere, I think they had like a 0.01, I don't know, some small percentage they had to the sales tax. So it was, everything was 6.05% or something like that. And that was collected by the township, I forget who that was, toward their open space program. So I don't know if that's, I'd rather pay that than earned income tax, to be honest, that's just me. But I don't know what the difference would be in revenue generated from the two of them, but
That's interesting, yeah.
yeah, we consider it sales tax too.
So if I may, I'll have the action, I'll reach out to Lena and Paul A, make sure well, Paul, unfortunately didn't get to vote, but I think we're set. So yeah, I'll see where they want to get involved and then make sure everyone's tied in. I'm not going to send out, I did take notes on everybody's comments, but I'm not going to send all that out, but just I'll send out some notes on the results, just so we're all aware and remember. And then I guess at the next meeting, like I said, I'll put up that chart, which is, we'll go through and we'll start to talk about the status of each thing, but it's not like the first thing will be then to try to focus in on which of the, out of that list, especially the open space, which had a bunch of things listed, where you want to focus, and then hopefully I can learn a little more about like how we can interact with the shared energy manager and what they might want to talk to us about. Hopefully they want to talk to us. So we don't then, okay, not Frank, and then Frank, yeah, you'll work on the, I forget what E is already, sorry, my alphabet. Start to, I guess, study what's in the comp plan.
Yeah, like you could look at the 2019 comp plan. I can give you this even that I printed out and kind of explore some of the suggestions there. It might be nice to connect with Whitpain on their effort because, gosh, connecting along that Pico line from Plymouth to Whitpain could be, and they've done so much work there.
Yeah.
And I know Pico is working with the municipalities now. It's not easy, and they have a lot of requirements and restrictions, but it's not, for a while, there was sort of a no more easements sort of thing, but now they have a process, and Whitpain was able to do it and get through it. It's not easy, but it's possible.
I do a lot of work with the Schuylkill River Trail and Schuylkill Greenways. So I'll, contact them and see what they know about more specifics here or something else. The Schuylkill River Trail only runs through a small part of the township, down in nowhere land there.
Yeah.
So
Rick also knows a lot about trying to reach out to Pico and work with them.
I would.
all right, well, I'll lean on you a little bit.
I could send you materials and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we good? I'm trying to push for an hour and a half limit here, so we got 8 minutes, but good pushing on it. Social, did you get those? No, you just want to talk.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that we shared the single-use plastic ordinance flyer that got a good bit of attention from both sides. And I think we got maybe 10 new followers or something like that from that post, so that's good. And then we recently shared out, thanks to Andy and Bill also for suggesting sharing, Whitpain is hosting a free composting workshop by Colleen Valicki, who lives, I think she lives in Plymouth Township. She runs Back to Earth Compost Crew, and she knows all about it. So she's hosting that workshop there. It's free for anyone who, I think that's March 12th or something, March 10th. And I wanted to ask what you all thought of posting the news that we were awarded the energy manager. Is that something we want to share? And if so, what could I have, maybe could someone forward me a web page or something with more info so I can write up a post?
Yeah, I can forward that.
Okay, thank you.
As long as we're clarified on exactly what it is we'll be doing going forth, because I feel like post something like that, everybody's going to be asking, well, what are they doing? What are they working on? X, Y, Z. Want to make sure to have that answer ready
Maybe wait until Rick and I have had a chance to submit that survey and we have our initial kickoff meeting with them.
Sure.
I'll make a note in my files to just coordinate with this group once that's happened, and then you can promote that. I think that would be a better idea.
Okay. I also, do you know the outlet More Than the Curve? They recently wrote an article about the pollinator garden that the EAB and my nonprofit worked on and installed at Black Horse Park. This past growing season was its full first year in the ground, and it really took off and did really well. And I made a video about it on social media that got a couple million views. And so they took it and wrote an article, and it mentioned the EAB, and people were sharing it on Facebook, and so it was good. Maybe we should be using that as a, hey, this is what you can do on your property. You know, we already have an educational sign there with a QR code. It tells folks what native plants we use, where you can get them, and so maybe we should be, because clearly people like that space. So I think even expanding that out, like in terms of social media posts, like it doesn't always have to be an original post. Like if there's something like that article pops up, like talking about something good we did, we don't even have to write the post. Like, sure, here's an article in More Than the Curve about some of the activities we've been working on. And then if we have like extra links to go along with it, to like, here's how you can put your own pollinator garden in your own house. Like here's your link to that, but like even things like that, other EABs and EACs nearby, things that they might be doing, like this 5 easy steps to home composting, but even if it's just tips and tricks or stuff that they have working with other EABs to elevate their own reach, because I think what neighboring townships do is still relevant to any Plymouth Township residents. I think anybody would agree. What goes on in Conshohocken affects Plymouth Township. What goes on in Norristown affects Plymouth Township. So I don't think it's a problem to even share some of the activities in neighboring EABs so people are aware of what's going on, because sometimes that also is what might come to Plymouth. Or makes them ask the question, is Plymouth working on this? And gives us an idea of another way to engage with the citizens.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be really neat to meet with the, I mean, I know there's the county-wide EAC, EAB meeting that the environmental section gathers, like county-wide EABs and EACs. I think, Bill, you've participated in the past through Drew Shaw. But I think what would be neat is the immediately neighboring, like White Marsh and East Norriton and Whitpain, to have even like an informal sharing, like, what are your big projects? Like, what have your successes been? Like, how could we?
If some of them are working on like walk and bike trails, is that something that we all kind of like think about together?
Yep, that'd be great. Connect Woodpain, White Marsh, Plymouth, and West Norriton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a whole nother idea. We're supposed to be shortening the list.
But that could also overlap with community education, because if you guys are all doing workshops like Woodpain is doing the composting, you could see if any of the other EACs are thinking doing education and tie together on that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that, I mean, you were talking about like the trails, so I mean, if it aligns with our priorities, then it's just helping us, so it's what we already voted on there, so.
Just as you're working on your individual projects of AC and E, like, no shame, and be encouraged to reach out to the other EABs, EACs, figure out, hey, have you worked on this at all? Like, we're looking to start work on this. I'm wondering if you have any ideas to share.
Definitely.
Andrew, I mean, we've had this on there for a while, but now that we've voted on our priorities, so we can make a Facebook post on that, if you want me to write that up as I'm doing my thing.
Okay.
That's all I had. Any other comments? 2 minutes before target time, anything?
Well, I was just thinking about your thought, Paul. I do think that the whole Leave the Leaves is really wonderful and great, but I do think people, it's hard to change, and there might be some
Oh, yeah,
pushback.
absolutely.
But I was thinking could be really fun is to have some incentives. So maybe if there was some way that the township could provide some incentives, like, I don't even know if this is possible, but if you go a season with leaving the leaves and you don't put your leaves on the street, maybe you get like a day pass at the community center or something like that.
That
No?
would be tough to.
Tough to measure.
Yeah, tough to
Okay,
measure that.
I was trying to
But-
think
but
of
that's
some
still-
incentives.
But that's still something
Yeah, but that's
to
something
think about.
I was thinking of
That would
something
be like a prize
that.
for the garden,
A prize.
Yeah.
For,
or something, the garden contest.
For the tree ordinance as well, incentivize people to keep their trees instead of penalizing them for removing them. I've heard something like that, but I don't know what incentives could be provided at the township level. You know, like,
Do we have an ordinance against burning leaves in the township?
I don't know.
I don't know. Good question for.
There's a general anti-burning.
There's no open,
I don't think there's any kind of open fire. Yeah, I don't think you're allowed any kind of open fires.
supposed to get a fire pit permit and everything too, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got neighbors.
Yes.
I have neighbors that don't have
There is
that.
an ordinance.
My guess is yes. Most urban municipalities have that.
I mean, I'm just saying, a reaction to some people may be to burn the leaves.
That's a good point.
All right, any motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll take it.
Thank you.